Hi, I read this and I have a bit to say about it. Ready? Great.
Now, for the record, I have never seen the TV series. My discussion today will be focused on the book.
This is a historical nonfiction about the origins and rise of Mormonism and Mormon fundamentalism, with the focal point being the tragic 1984 murders of Brenda Wright Lafferty and her infant daughter. It discusses religious violence and the ways in which faith can twist a person's morality so badly they're willing to commit atrocities in the name of God. Atrocities committed in the name of God. There's a sentence for you to focus on today, folks. I do find this book's themes to be particularly striking considering the massive and unprecedented amount of anti-LGBTQ legislation that has been burning through the US in recent years, upending and destroying lives. Recognizing and fighting toxic religious fervor is more important than ever, and this book offers relevant insight. Dan and Ron Lafferty, two Mormon fundamentalists, were convinced that Brenda and her child had to die because God commanded it. Otherwise, they would obstruct his work. In addition, the book explains the various ways Mormon fundamentalism enforces a variety of reprehensible things that I'm really not in the mood to describe to you because I'm having a halfway decent mental health day so far. Under the Banner of Heaven is very educational, with a list of sources for every single chapter, plus a bibliography that spans 4 pages. John Krakauer spent approximately 3 years researching all of his facts and gathering all of his information before writing this book, and I really respect that. His sources include court hearings, 19th century newspapers, interviews with former and current Mormons, and much more. The subject matter like this is very easy to sensationalize, so I really appreciate an author who does his due diligence. I particularly appreciated the section near the end where John addressed the complaints of Richard Turley, a Mormon church official, who wrote a scathing essay of the book. John included this essay for us to read ourselves, and then dismantled it piece by piece. That being said, I really appreciate John's ability to acknowledge certain good points that Richard Turley had, while also providing a really solid defense against some pretty spiteful accusations. Because contrary to what the Mormon Church will have you believe, John does not roast religion in general, he does not slander Mormons as some sort of deluded hate group, nor does he shy away from describing and explaining the unjust persecution that Mormons have faced in the United States since their religion was first conceived in the 19th century. He explains how fundamentalist Latter-day Saints are completely different from mainstream Latter-day Saints. In fact, Ron and Dan Lafferty, the murderers, were excommunicated from the Mormon Church in 1982, 2 years before the murders. To reiterate, the book addresses how faith can twist your morality when you don't think critically about it, and how religious hierarchies are often used to cultivate abuse and deceit while suppressing education and independent thought. So I want to emphasize, don't take this book as a green flag to hate and harass your Mormon neighbors. Aim your hate towards Mormon-based extremist groups such as the Kingston Clan, who think these things are cool. Aim your distrust towards the religious hierarchy that protects those in power, prioritizes reputation above safety, and retaliates against church members who dare to criticize leaders. Now, in addition, after you read this book, which I hope you do, turn your attention towards recent years, because even though this book is very well researched and factually sound, it was written in 2003, and a lot has changed in the past 20 years. For example, interracial marriage within Mormonism is no longer considered an egregious sin. Several members of the Kingston Clan are now in federal prison. Also, my personal favorite, Ron Lafferty is dead now. Now, about the writing style itself, one thing I did not appreciate is the way John jumps back and forth in time. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with this choice. I've seen it done well many times before, in books such as The Crownless King, for example. But with this particular book, it just tangled up my mental timeline, and I kept forgetting who was who. So that's just me. Now, another choice of writing style that disrupted my personal reading process was the inclusion of several Texas-sized footnotes. I was reading this one page, and 4/5 of it was a footnote. I have evidence. Look at this. Look at that. That is 5 paragraphs, and 4 of them are the footnote. That being said, I still very much recommend Under the Banner of Heaven for its educational content and modern-day relevance, because there's nothing quite like reading about the crimes of the faithful during a time when our church and state are French kissing. I give this book a solid 7 out of 10, and now it's time to edit the video.